Hi, I'm Mark, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. I've been wanting to get some information to you about our depositions and some other things that have been happening lately. Today's Sunday. I think it's probably the 2nd of September. Our depositions were on the 23rd and 24th of August. So there's been a few days lapse. We've been real busy here. Ron McKendrick's farm has been lost. He was the farmer that the DNR took to court up in Sheboygan, and that's a sad day. But the DNR has gotten what they wanted done. They've got one more farm out of business. Okay, but we're not done with that situation. Ron's a friend of ours, and there's some options that are out there. So there'll be more to come on that. All right, depositions. The 23rd and the 24th. It was a Thursday, Friday. We got down there on a Wednesday to get ourselves together. Got some hotel rooms, and we had a room at the DEQ building to do the depositions. We had a lady there that was the stenographer, and she also was our videotaping person. Oh, by the way, these are Wagyu beef. Some are F1 Wagyu. A lot of the calves are F1s as well. Those red ones are Angus, and there's a couple of white-faced Baldies in there too. And that's a Wagyu program that we're working on right now. Okay, Rodney Stokes from the DNR, ex-director, Nancy Franks from MDARD, Mr. Guthrie, swine expert from MSU, and Dr. Bates from MSU. Sadly, I do not have any of that footage to show you because the state Attorney General put a gag order on it. Very unfortunate that they did that. Eventually we will have it and we will make it available to you. But it just goes to show that there's something in there they don't want you to see. And I can tell you from being in the room when at least Rodney Stokes and Nancy Franke were deposed, they have a lot of secrets. They have a lot to hide. So, and it comes through very clearly in the videotape. The videotape is made available to Judge Sulka, who will be the deciding judge on the constitutional case that will take place October 15th in Marquette County. So they may have parsed words and said they didn't understand questions and refused to answer things, and maybe think that they got out of there with their skin on their back, but they really didn't. And that will come out. I will make that available to you when I can. Guthrie and Franks, they're swine experts from MSU. The state prefaced every one of their testimonies by saying, these guys are not swine experts as far as we're concerned. All right, Dr. Bates holds a PhD in animal science, and with a major in swine, but I guess he's not an expert. Their case wasn't good. I can't tell you a whole lot about the depositions, what exactly went on, except for a high point that just sticks in my mind. Rodney Stokes was asked about a piece of paper that he signed. It was a letter to the Maine Galitza Breeders Association, and he wagged his finger in my lawyer's face, Joseph O'Leary, and said, he actually chastised him and said, Mr. O'Leary, I can't be expected to read every piece of paper that comes across my desk that I sign. That's the way it works in state government. So he set us straight, and I'm kind of glad he did that. Rodney, quite a guy. Really enjoyed your testimony. Okay, so that's it for the depositions. I'm going to make that available to you, but I'll tell you this. I think we got everything we needed in those depositions. All right? All right, the next thing I want to talk about is this, Acres Magazine. If you never got the magazine, it's a great magazine. It's a national publication, and it's I like it. It's sustainable farming. It's home life stories. A lot of very good information about how to do things around your place, and it's almost like traditional farming magazine, And anyway, they did an article on the situation, and I thought it was very good. And I'd like to comment on some of what came out of it, because I believe they tipped their hand It's at the end of the article. Apparently, the Michigan Department of Agriculture, or Department of Natural Resources, has been consulting with a man by the name of Michael Bodenchuk. Michael Bodenchuk, Texas Wildlife Services State Director, thinks some kinds of farming are just too risky. Pasturing outside is a risk. Pigs are extremely susceptible to disease, said Bodenchuk, and there is no such thing as a pig-proof fence. Eventually, they escape. Okay? Let's talk about that a little bit, Michael Bodenchuk. Pasturing outside is a risk. Right, prior to the late 60s, all pigs were pastured. They were all outside. They were behind fences. They were not in concrete buildings, you know, and on graded floors. And, you know, that's a CAFO, Michael. That's relatively new, and if you haven't heard about this, CAFOs cause a lot of problems environmentally, health-wise to the animals, health-wise to the workers that are in there. They pollute the air. If you live in a neighborhood of a bunch of CAFOs, they really stink, if you haven't noticed. So there's not a lot of good things that come out of CAFOs, except a very few people can run herd on a large number of animals, and they think they can do it quite effectively, but it's really not working out if you haven't checked into that. CAFO food is what's killing America right now, and that's probably what we're talking about here. All right, so he says it's a risk. It's been done for a lot of years, Michael, and it's worked out okay. Then he says pigs are extremely susceptible to diseases. Well, only since you started stuffing them in CAFOs nose to tail. You know, if they're outside like this, I don't have sick animals on my farm. My kids aren't never sick. You know, no one's sick here. In CAFOs, yeah, just like concentration camps. You know, you can compare the two. All right. And then he says there's no such thing as a pig-proof fence. Eventually, they escape. Well, Michael Bodenchuk, I wonder if you're from Texas. I kind of doubt it. But here's my challenge to you. Now, everybody knows Texas has a problem with feral swine, or as Rodney would say, feral swines. All right? But we don't have a problem here in Michigan. So I think what the problem is you people down in Texas, you Texans, Michael Bodenchuk, you don't know how to build a fence. So here's my challenge to you, son. Send a contingent up here to Baker's Green Acres, and I will show you how to build a fence that a pig can't get out of. Okay? That's my challenge to you. You're saying you can't build a fence a pig can't get out of. That's not true. I've never had a pig escape from this facility. All right? All right, then he says, but they aren't going to escape from a concrete barn. In Texas, pig farming is largely done indoors. Confinement operations have biosecurity, ways of keeping hogs from escaping, explained Bodenchuk. But the small guy loses hogs. No, but the small guys lose hogs. That's in quotations. So evidently Michael Bodenchuk said that. It's backyard pigs that are the escapees. One solution, said Bodenchuk, is to move the pigs indoors. All right? So that's what Michael Bodenchuk wants to do, and I've said that all along. This is an agenda that's being worked to get the family farm off the ground and get the animals on concrete. And then here's what Michael Bodenchuk says this, and he's the Wildlife Services State Director. So his words must mean something, unless, like Rodney Stokes, he can't be expected to mean everything that he says. All right. Then he goes on to say, look, the state of Texas won't let me raise tigers. I could be the most conscientious tiger farmer there is, but the state won't let me do it. It's too risky. The trade-offs are just too great to public safety. I'm sympathetic to these small hog farmers, said Bodenchuk, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? I'm not even going to comment on that, because I think he is asking the right question. Is confinement factory farming worth the risk? Is it? One of the things that's not really addressed in here, which, you know, I know they have to pare things down, is the fact that we don't have a feral problem, a feral swine problem in Michigan. We do not. They're saying we don't want one. Well, we don't have feral horses in Michigan either, but they're not bearing down on that, you know, and we surely don't want that. But we do not have a feral swine problem here in Michigan. It is not a problem. I'm not saying that there couldn't be a problem. I guess there could. But I find it highly doubtful. And here's why. American citizens eradicated the wolf from the countryside. And I read, you know, old journals about farming and the havoc that wolves played. And I can understand that. I raise a lot of chickens here, and we raise them outside. And I have problems with predation, so I know what that's like. You know, you come out in the morning, nice happy day, and you got 10 dead chickens, and something has killed them and left, you know, the gutless corpses there. It's really tough, and I couldn't imagine having wolves come in and kill some of these calves during the night. I would be highly upset with those. So American public did eradicate the wolf, and they've actually had to bring them back so we can all enjoy them again. Out in Montana, I know I lived out there and we were enjoying them, not so much. So to think that these little furry creatures, if they get out into the woods, couldn't be eradicated, it really is the Department of Natural Resources saying to the people of Michigan, you couldn't take care of this problem. Well, I'm here to tell you, people from Michigan could take care of this problem if there were a problem. And the idea that shutting down family farms is going to prevent this from becoming a problem is crazy. It's just craziness. And people really need to get a handle on what they're saying and why they're saying it. And, you know, get involved here. I really need you to get involved. This publication is a national publication, so we have arrived on the national scene, and now is the time to get involved. I really need you people to be calling ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, all of them, and saying, what are you doing? Why aren't you covering this story? We want coverage of this story. So that is my challenge right now to you, to do that. We need the national coverage. All right, the next thing that I want to brief on is there was a story that came out on the radio on NPR, and this was on the 31st, and I would encourage you to go to their archives and listen to this. It was really well done. The folks that came out and gathered the information from us, really nice people, down to earth, and I'm sure we'll cross paths with them again. But I think they did a very fair job. There's excerpts in there from the court case, excuse me, from the briefing that the DNR gave up in Grayling, where they would not allow any of us to ask them any questions. They just told us, you know, show us the pictures of your pig. We'll let you know if you can keep them, and then have a nice ride home. But I think it's interesting in this battle with the state that subject keeps coming up. In that article, the NPR article, the radio article, my state senator brings up the fact that he is deeply concerned that somebody is going to get hurt. And it's spun in such a way that it seems as though the farmers are the radical ones, like me. I'm some radical gun-toting guy. I don't have a gun on me right now, by the way. And then the spinmeister there from the DNR, his name is Ed Golder. He's been brought in, by the way, to handle this mess. He's a PR guy, professional PR guy. He says that there have been no armed raids And then he says, on family farms. All right? Nice little play on words there. There have been no armed raids. Well, that's not true. All right, that is not true. Ron McKendrick's place was raided by a group of 10 men, every one of them armed. So it's a lie, Ed, and you know it. Dave Tuxbury place, what's now becoming known as the Tuxbury Massacre, he was raided by the same contingent of DNR officers. They were all armed. So, all right, we don't have to call it a raid. We can call it welcome wagon if we want to. But when a bunch of armed people come to your place of business, and say they want to look at your stuff, I call that a raid. And I kind of agree with Mr. Bohr, my senator. Someone could get hurt. And I am concerned for the health and welfare of my family. Yeah, I am a little concerned about that. So that is something that, Ed, you need to think about. You're telling the public right now that you're not conducting armed raids. You're lying. You're lying because you are doing that. Or you have. You haven't done anything in about 4 or 5 months now. And I think it's because we're in this court battle. But I just want to set the record straight there. There have been armed raids by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources on family-owned farms. Period. I know that for a fact. All right, well, that's all I have to brief. Thanks for listening. Please spread the word. Donations, we are holding our own right now, but we have a long way to go. Long way to go. October 15th is our court date. We have a few things that are going to happen in between now and then. Depositions. We've finalized the first wave of them. Our lawyers aren't sure if they want to do some more. I might get deposed, which is no problem at all. If they want to come and ask me questions, I'm ready to go. So thanks for listening, and remember, anyone can farm.